Today we're going to learn how to get measurements for shifting ranges using the Shift Measurements Template Excel spreadsheet. But before we can get to that, we need to learn how shifting works in general.
Shifting? What's that?
Shifting is what we do when we need to evenly space out a certain number of books over a designated number of shelves.
Well, how do we measure all of these books?
We used to measure each individual shelf and then add them all together, then divide the inches of books by the number of shelves. But this took a lot of time, since measuring over 1,000 shelves can be very time-consuming. So our lovely and fearless leader Jay discovered linear algebra.
Linear algebra? Ugh!
That's right, linear algebra. This actually helped speed us along quite a bit. Now we measure entire sections at a time, instead of each individual shelf.
How on earth does that work?
Well, first we need to choose a base number. In this example, we will choose the number 180. So we want to know how close is each section to the number 180. Since these sections each have 6 shelves, we know that each shelf should be about 30 inches. So let's see if that's right. Go ahead and put your measuring stick up to the shelf. How many inches is that, Gabriel?
36.
So that means that shelf is plus 6. Let's measure another shelf. What's that one?
36.
So that's also plus 6. So what's our total now? 6 plus 6.
12.
Perfect.
So let's have you go ahead and measure out the rest of your section. Once we have a total number, we're going to add that or subtract it from 180.
So Gabriel, what's the total additive number of this section?
Well, each shelf was plus 6, and there's 6 shelves, so the total is plus 36.
And our base number was 180, which means the total number of inches on this entire section is 216, yes?
Uh-huh.
This is where our printed out shift measurement sheet comes in.
What's this for?
The Shift Measurements Template sheet and spreadsheet is for organizing and calculating the measurements of your shift. You can change what range you're working on in the document by changing the yellow highlighted number and letter in the sheet on the computer. Then print out what pages you need. In this example, we've been working on range 9A. But if we used 9B, the changes would be made in the Excel spreadsheet accordingly.
So since our first measurement was 216 inches, let's write that total number down on our sheet. Since we are shifting range 9A and 9B, we will continue measuring in this fashion until we have all sections measured and recorded on our sheet. So now that we have all of the necessary measurements, we can plug them all into the shift measurement template on the computer.
Once all of the sections have been entered on this computer, we need to enter just one more number to let the program do our work for us. This is going to be the total number of shelves that we will be shifting over. Since we measured 20 sections, and we know that all of them have 6 shelves each, we know that we have 120 shelves that our books will be shifted across. Once that number is entered into this Excel document, the total inches of book per shelf should be revealed and highlighted in the document. This is how many inches of book need to be on each shelf throughout the shift.
Now we need to find a spacer to make sure that this will consistently be the measurement on each shelf throughout your shift.
What's a spacer? Isn't that the tubing in my asthma device?
A spacer is any object that is used while shifting to prevent the bookend from being moved.
Once you've got a spacer to make sure none of your bookends will be shifted too far along your shift, then you're good to go.
What's a spacer? It sounds like a filling you'd get for a cavity.
What's a spacer? It sounds like a really cool tool you use to measure empty space.
What's a spacer? It sounds like a Pearl Jam album.
What's a spacer? It sounds like a song from Space Jam.
Spacer? Sounds like someone who's addicted to space.
What's a spacer? It sounds like a Kmart version of braces.